So please give an equally huge welcome to Matt Steinwede.
It's not a good way to start crying, but anyway. So I say no to most talks, and we probably get, I don't know, 1 or 2 requests a week or every second week. And I tell you why, because they're always in flu season. And they say, can you speak next September 2025? And I instantly go, forget about it. Because you don't know, like, I don't know, when you get the flu, you can't do anything. So I just say no. And then I get a call. Matt, it's John McGrath. It's like God calling you. I want you to speak at AREC. Thank you. And that's it. So there's no option. And I work for him. But the thing is, it's not so much the talk, it's the lead up. Like a month out, I'm like, okay, I've got to stay healthy. Got to stay healthy, got to go away from people, keep away from people. Jordan gets sick, completely sick, comes in the office. It's like my 8-month-old. It's just like snot everywhere. Oh, I'm so sick. I'm like, get home. What are you doing here? Anyway, it keeps coming in, so I'm like, I avoid the office. A week and a half out, Ash goes, oh, my throat's so sore. I'm like, what's friggin' wrong with you people? Get away from me. I show a house a week ago. The lady comes in, shakes my hand. I'm a bit of a germaphobe at the best of times. Shakes my hand, goes, oh, I'm so sick. and I'm like, I'm out the backyard like this, looking at the trees. I said, you just look at the house. Let me know when you're finished. And she walks around. All I can hear is her sneezing everywhere. So in the end, like 2 weeks out, I just sit in my car by myself every day, doing no appointments, certainly not like Ryan's appointment schedule, just sitting there like that saying, just everyone stay away from me. Anyway, I'm here. I think it's even, I think the achievement is actually being here healthy. Let's get started. And the other thing God said is, he goes, I want you to speak about your 30-year career in 30 minutes. I'm like, that's so easy. Like, what am I supposed to say in 30 minutes? So I'm going to say just 2 things. How to increase your business and creating the ultimate version of yourself. I think I can think of it, talk about those 2 things. This is how I built my career. You want it, you'll do it. This is not an easy business. You know, we've got to wake up every day, pretend like we're full of energy, and then go and kill it, and do it again and again and again, and make stuff out of nothing. But the things that are going to make you successful are the things you usually don't want to do. That's the whole thing to this business. Like, who wants to knock on a stranger's door? Nobody. But that's what's going to make you successful. I want you to remember that saying through this talk, and because I think it's the whole thing. My background, I'm not going to go on about my story. Most people know it. There's probably 2 or 3 things in here which I think gives it more meaning. So I used to be a criminal before I met John, and I was involved in the underworld. The people I used to work for, well, I sort of worked, they didn't pay me a salary, but I just did things for them, said, we're opening another brothel. We want you to go to Terrigal and look for some girls in the nightclub. I'm like, okay, I can do that. So they arranged all the bikers up there to meet with me, and thinking about it now, I don't even know what I was doing. What am I supposed to say? Oh, excuse me, would you like to work in the brothel in Sydney that these people I do things for, they're just opening? I don't know what I was doing. But anyway, I met 2 people that night. Dino, he was friends with a biker. He made the bikers. He made me look small. He's massive. And Karina, it was her first night out. on her 18th birthday, and she met me. At the end of the night, I said, "Can I have your number?" Thank friggin' goodness she gave it to me. I went home and everything fell apart, and I mean in a big way. I ended up homeless. I ended up living in an abandoned building. Long story, but it's like this time, I don't know how long, a year, something like that. I stayed in contact with Dino and I said, "Mate, can you come pick me up? I'm going to be dead or in jail any day." I was under surveillance for a really long time. I had contracts taken out in my life because I was such a mess, all these sorts of things. So he drove down, picked me up, and I just left with what I was wearing and put me out the back of his parents' house, and I lived there for 9 months. I had a huge drug habit, and I mean huge. So all I did was stay in that room and took drugs for 9 months. And one day, I was like, I've got to do something with myself. This is not really the go. So I rang an ex-girlfriend, her name was Lisa, and I said, "Lise, I'm in a bit of trouble." She said, "A bit of trouble? Like, where are you for a start? You have left the biggest mess down here." I said, "What should I do?" And she goes, "Why don't you get into real estate?" And like thinking about it now, I think she just thought all real estate agents are dodgy, I'd be a perfect fit. So I'm like, "Oh, that sounds good." And I grabbed the yellow pages and I rang well, some people might not even know what that is in here, the young ones, but it's like this big thick book. And I rang everybody in the yellow pages who had a real estate company and I said, "Do you have a traineeship?" Everybody said no, but one lady. One lady worked out of like a home office in a place called Killarney Vale. Killarney Vale is in the back of nowhere. It's got nothing there. She said, "Yeah, you can have a job." And I said, "Well, I don't have a home because Dino's parents wanted me out of there. I don't have a home, I don't have any clothes, and I don't have a car." She said, "Don't worry about it. I've got a caravan on my property. You can stay in there." She hadn't been in it for years. There's like big huntsmans in there and things. And she said, so she put me in there and then she goes, "I just want you to door knock." So every day, Dino bought me some pants, polo shirts, and away I went. So every day I just used to walk the streets and knock on the doors and say, "Do you want to sell your house?" Every day, all day, from morning to night. And I used to walk from street to street, to street to street. And when I first got there, there was like 3 listings in the filing cabinet, and it was a bit of a nowhere sort of office. But after time, I found so many leads, but the thing was, I'd have to walk from suburb to suburb. So if I'd find a listing in Berkeley Vale, which was the next suburb, or not a listing, just a lead, I'd have to run all the way back to the office and get the lady, and then she'd drive all the way back and list the house. And that's how I spent my days. Anyway, one day I changed offices, and then I got home one night. So I got a sort of promotion across the road to a proper office. And then I got the bus home, and I was renting a room off this elderly lady who was friends with Karina's family. I walk in the door, and the phone rings, the landline, and she was about 114, and she used to sit in front of the TV. She couldn't hear the phone because this TV was so loud, and she used to sit there with a cat all day and all night. Anyway, the phone rings, so I answer it, and it was Ray from the fish and chip shop from Killarney Vale. And he goes, "Hey, Matt." I'm like, "Hello?" He goes, "It's Ray from the fish and chip shop." I'm like, "How did you get this number?" He was an ex-heroin dealer from the Cross. We used to get on really well. I think he was in hiding, to be honest with you. So was I. He goes, "You've just been on Australia's Most Wanted." And I'm like, bugger. And 5 minutes later, Karina's dad knocks on the door. He's like this. He's run from his house, which is up the road. They were a Mormon family, and they, watching the show, and up I pop, 6 kids, and it's like The Sound of Music. The lounge goes all the way around and down the street, so many people in the family. Anyway, he goes, "We need to talk." And I'm like, "Yeah, we need to talk." So I went and handed myself back in, and then a couple of days later, I went to court, and the judge, Karina's mum testified, and the old lady testified. She was amazing. And and the judge looks at me and she said, "You should be going to jail for quite a few years today." She said, "But I see some good in you. I'm going to give you a second chance." She said, "But if you come back again, you're going to go away for half your life." So it took me 8 years to pay back the fines that she gave me, and I had to do community service and try and work at the same time. And then I walked out of the courtroom and I rang Dino and I said, Dino, I'm going to make you a promise. I'm going to become Australia's #1 agent. I'm not there yet, but I still work on that part. But the promise has never left me. I ended up working at LJ Hooker, and I went to this seminar and they talked about farm areas, 1,000 homes. And the guy said, Chris Williams his name was, the guy said, work a farm area and get to be known in 1,000 homes. And I'm like, 1,000 homes? Wow, I'll do that in like 3 days. But I'll do it. And he said, just become a household name in 1,000 homes. And he also told us about one other thing, the CMA, which I'll tell you about in a sec. So what I did is I picked a number and I said, 40 is going to be my number. I'm going to contact 40 people a day every day. 40. And you've got to create saturation. This is the secret to real estate. Saturation's everything in a farm area. But you've got to drive people mad a little bit. And I did. One day, I called 64 Gosford Road, Mr. Greenwald, and he goes, I'm going to murder you! I said, Mr. Greenwald, how are you? What are you doing? Blah, blah. I'm going to friggin' murder you! I said, Mr. Greenwald, what's wrong? He goes, I'm going to slit your throat. How's your day? Anyway, I didn't know, but when I was dropping letters off, and I've always done all prospecting on myself, letters, calls, everything. I've never had a prospector to do it for me until, recent times. But when I was dropping letters off every day, I do 2 streets of letters a day minimum, 40 connects a day. I'll show you in a sec. But I got to his one, and there was just a poll, and I'm like, that's weird, because it's like one of those rectangle ones with a little roof on that you put the paper in the top, and I'm like, there's no letterbox. So I put it under his door. And around I go, and months go by, under his door, under his door, under his door, under his door. He took the letterbox off because of me. He was so annoyed. So every day, he's sitting at home, like thinking about his letterbox, and I'm just like prospecting. So when I ring, he's so angry. I mean, so angry. So I wrote him a card and said, look, sorry, you won't hear from me again, blah, blah, blah. And then years later, he referred me a lot of business. But it's the saturation that matters. Something magical happens when you hit that saturation point because of this rule. 9 to 12 contacts, people start to become your friend. 18 to 24, you become a household name. Very true. But what a lot of agents do is they prospect on need. So they prospect for a while, they get a few listings, and they stop. Whereas prospecting is the #1 appointment in my diary for my entire career. I don't care how busy I get, prospecting is it. 1 hour a day will change your career, 2 hours a day will change your life. That's the way I saw it. This is the simple system that I used. Daily calls or door knocks, weekly DLs, monthly letter. Every quarter, something cool, and then every 6 months, this. And this is like the more recent one, like more modern one, but this. But it's in the delivery of the CMA that matters. You drop a letter off, only 10 a day. 10 letters, you're going to call the people, say, hey, did you get my letter? They always say no. No, I don't know. Can't know. And I'm like, well, I dropped it off, and what it said was, blah, 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 blah. We're not selling. Well, good, it's for you. It's for people who aren't selling. And it's free. Can I leave it at your doorstep? I'm dropping Mrs. Jones off one tomorrow afternoon. Can I leave it at your doorstep? Never say give it to them because they just will never do it. But you ask twice. That's sort of the script, a little bit different, but sort of the script. And then once you do that, you take a picture of their house, put it on this on the 3rd day. So first day call, second day do the picture and all that, and on the 3rd day, drop it off. And you've got to add this to your prospecting. This is not your prospecting. And then knock on their door, hey, I'm Matt. Please report, thanks very much. See you later. And then every 6 months for life, that arrives. The picture on the front is really important. Sometimes they ring and say, how did you get the picture? I'm like, with a camera. They do. And they go, oh. Yeah. But you just keep doing that. That was the rhythm. It's like a printing press in my area. This is like a printing press. Don't skip a beat. Watch what happens when you get to saturation. And then once you get to saturation and you do this, you never have to ask if they want to sell again. Because when you're cold calling again and they get this, they say, oh, what's happening out there? So this happens, blah, 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 blah. You become like this, almost like a consultant of the area. They like hearing from you. What's going on out there today, Matt? Gee, you're doing well. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. And you don't have to ask ever again. But I spent half of my career asking. This guy, Manuel, you might have heard me speak about him before. I just want to tell you a two-minute story about him. 20 years ago, maybe, I went to a Lee Woodward seminar in New Zealand. Walked through the foyer the next morning, walking. Manuel, this guy, he's at the door. He said, good morning, sir, good morning, madam. And I'm like, and I was with Shelley, Make's wife, I'm like, it's weird. Good morning, sir, good morning, madam. And I'm like walking along going, is he talking to us? Don't wave, it'll be embarrassing if he's not. Like that. Anyway, we get up to it, he said, good morning, sir, good morning, madam, how are you today? And I'm like, he didn't sound exactly like that, but sort of. But it's like, I'm like, good. He goes, where are you going? Can I get you a taxi? What are you doing today? Blah, 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 blah. And he's like so happy. Like his energy was just like bursting out of himself. And we're like, this guy's amazing. He goes, would you like a taxi? And he runs out in the road. He's like going, like a taxi. You know, he didn't have those things at the airport, but if he did, he would have been like that. And we're like going, how good's this guy? Opens the doors, Shelley gets in. I sit there, and he closes Shelley, comes in, jumps across me, putting my seatbelt on, and I'm like going, what the hell? And he closes the door, and he goes like that as the taxi drives away. I'm like, what was that guy? He was phenomenal. All day, we laughed about him, all day. Smiling. So 10 years later, Shelley gets an invite to her best friend's wedding in New Zealand. And on the invite, it says, recommended hotel, the Hilton. And she goes, oh, and like all girls do, they pull it up, research it. I said, why don't you stay at Manuel's hotel? And she's like, how did you remember his name? I had no idea. So she goes, what was his hotel called? We couldn't think of it. Don't know. Casino, Grand, can't remember. 20 minutes goes by, Sky City Grand. She goes, all right, so book in. On the way over on the flight, she turns to me and goes, do you think he even still works there? I'm like, I hope so. In the cab, driving along, and I'm like a kid like looking out the window going, is he working there? Like that. Anyway, we get there, he's not there. He is not there. I'm not staying here, no. Anyway, so up, down, 2 days goes by, not there. Every time I come back, where's there? Guess who's there on the third day? We're like, Manuel! Woo! Manuel! We love you. And he's like, no joke, he's this big. He's like, whoa, what the hell are these people? I said to him, Manuel, we think you are the best. That's why I got about 10 shots. He's like this, he's like this. Anyway, he goes, I said, why are you so good? He goes, because my son and daughter go to university. I pay for their education. Yes. Anyway, what this is about is not Manuel's feminine attributes. It's, no. How many times have people stayed there again because of Manuel? And on top of that, I don't have a new story to tell you. No one's impressed me as much as Manuel in 20 years. Doesn't that say something? I couldn't even remember a $100 million hotel's name. I can remember his. But what about making wow part of our business plan? Wow. That chick was phenomenal. Wow. How amazing was that person? How do you do that? Answer your phone, great energy, focused, invested in them. Not like, oh, can I ask how much that property? Yeah, 1.8, thanks, bye. That's not wow. I call it the Manuel effect. Think about how many people I have told about Manuel. I wrote a letter to the CEO of that company to say how amazing he is. What did he do? Nothing. He didn't do anything at all. He just was happy. And he gave us an experience. He made us feel a certain way. We overcomplicate this business sometimes. We really do. If you got up every day, made your calls and made people say, well, you're going to explode. I'm telling you, you're going to explode because your competition is not that good. You sometimes think it is, but it's not. Consistency. Consistency is the thing. I'll guarantee you, I don't know, he's probably not even alive now, but if I went to see Manuel there, again, he'd be the same. I'll guarantee it. I'll guarantee it. The law of attraction will change your business. It's changed my business and my life, the whole thing. The law of attraction is where it's at. You are energy. You are energy everywhere, and you are connected to energy. I could talk about this, just this, on its own, because you do this stuff, your business is going to change. Your results will change, you will change, your life will change, everything will change. At the top is green, as you can see, that's the zone. Down the bottom is white, that's just, you don't want to be down there very much. Look at the top, excitement. The highest vibrate. This is an Esther Hicks tool, this is not mine. Esther Hicks, start studying her. Yes, love her. Excitement. You know when you're on a roll and you're just like, things are just like, John's life's like that, but it's like, you know when you're on a roll and things are just like boom, 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 and you're just living it. Person rings you, they're really nice, listing comes that you've been chasing for ages and all of a sudden they want to list with you. You've got to step back and look at how you're feeling. It'll tell you. Your emotions are frequency. When you're feeling a certain emotion, you're sending out a frequency. That frequency is being answered and matched. Boom, come back to you. Show me an angry person that loves life. I have an ex-wife like that. But look at disappointment. Down the bottom. Sorry, I don't want to list you home with you. We walk around for the next 2 days telling people, complaining, talking to our friends about it, thinking about it. What are we doing? We're activating more of that frequency, more of that frequency. I'll tell you how to handle rejection, as John just said in the last thing here. Move to the top of the scale. Bounce off of it. There's a great saying I heard recently, rejection is protection. Rejection is protection. When someone says, I don't want to sell with you, oh well, don't worry about it. There's 1,000 people who will. If I'm doing my side of it, I can't tell you how many people don't prospect enough. I can't tell you. When you prospect enough, you get so much traction, but do it forever. Don't do it for a year, do it forever. You get so much traction, you almost don't even worry about it because you've got so much stuff going on. So much stuff. The way to stay in the zone is this. A morning routine that you love. And if people follow me a bit, that you'll see what I do. But you don't need to be like as much as I do. Just one thing that you really like. Surf, swim, run, this, that, whatever. One thing that you're excited about. You've got to get enough sleep. You have to get enough sleep. Sleep routine is so important. I go to bed at the same time. I sleep for a certain amount. I have the air conditioning on. It's so important because your energy tank is full. You try and perform on a hangover. You never will. It feels terrible. But when you've had a great sleep, how do you feel? Amazing. And then you're excited about the next day because you've got your morning routine, which you love the thing that you do, whatever it is, walk the dogs. Doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be anything major. Walk the dog, something that you look forward to every day. It's like women love stuff to look forward to. Why? Like Tara puts things in my calendar in a year's time. Go on this dinner. Why do you do that? I look forward to it. She's excited, but we've got to be like that ourselves every day. The middle one, high energy gut health routine. Your gut health is everything. You've got bad gut health, you're going to have a bad life. This is more recent times for me. I spend a lot of time in this area now. I have more energy than I know what to do with. You have a garden in your stomach called microbiome. That microbiome feeds the mitochondria in your cells. The mitochondria is like motors. So when you're not feeling that good, it's usually that. You have 320,000 motors in one cell. That's a lot. How many cells do you have? Quadrillions. Imagine they're all firing really hard, really firing. Boom, so hard. You're going to kill it. You're going to be, look, think about it, Manuel's energy. This is the secret to winning more business. Have an energy signature that impresses people and it makes an imprint on their soul. They just want to do business with you. And emotional control. That's what that scale's about. Emotional control. Don't hang out in anger. Don't hang out in disappointment. Manage it. Doesn't mean you don't feel it. You choose you don't want to be there. And then have a nighttime routine that winds down, not alcohol. I don't drink anymore. I certainly don't inject drugs, but I don't drink anymore. I don't do any of that stuff anymore. I don't put anything processed in my body. Nothing. I wish I knew about it 30 years ago. I didn't know. I probably wouldn't have been disciplined enough. But it was like, now it's all about energy. This is sorry. Sorry. This is Logan. He killed himself last year. The reason I want to tell you about him is not for this. It's for a choice. You know, he was 20 years old and he was a junior pro surfer. You know, he's a great kid. Every parent says that. But I spent every day on the beach with him growing up. Every day. Even in the middle of summer, I'd be sitting there in my business clothes, prospecting on the beach, watching his waves, you know, all this. Anyway, so he killed himself at the end of last year. And my world fell apart. And it's like a bomb went off in our world. And Jackson called me at like 5:30 in the morning one morning. I hadn't got up yet, and Paris, his sister, called like 2 seconds after, and I looked at my phone. I knew Logan was dead. I just knew it. And then come on. And then as the days went on, I could see all of my kids, they were really affected massively, thanks. And I have 6 other kids. And Jackson, his older brother, is over there. Come out one day and he said, "Dad, I don't think I can go on. I miss Logan so much. Anyway, I looked at him and I thought, I'm going to have another casualty on my hands here. So in that moment, like I was like, Matt, you've got to pull these kids up with you. You have to pull these kids up because they were just so broken. And I mean so broken. He was like just the funnest kid ever. And, you know, everyone loved him so much. And then Jackson said, I just don't want to come out of my room, Dad. I just can't. And I was like, I have to do something. So in that moment, I was like, I've just got to put one foot in front of the other and I've just got to keep going here. I didn't want to. You know, I didn't care about real estate. I didn't care about anything. I was like, I'd sell the business. I didn't want it anymore. That's how I was thinking. You know, I was talking to John McGrath about it all and Tommy Penos and, you know, it's like, that meant nothing. But I'm like, in that moment, like, things are going to happen in life, you know? going to be like hard. But you've got to, whether it's divorce or it's business or something, you are going to have challenges that you're going to have to dig deep sometimes. And you're going to have to make a difference to yourself for the others around you. You know, it's obviously not fixed. It never will be fixed. But, you know, it was very difficult. But I just want to say, like, in life, you are going to be confronted by some... I've been through a lot. I've been through a lot in life. It all sounds funny when you're talking about a story. It's friggin' hard. You know, it was so hard. I have been through the ringer. But 2 divorces and all sorts of things, nothing like this. But whether it's this or something else, I just want you to remember, when somebody says no to you, don't worry about it. Honestly, don't worry about it. Just move on with things. And move on doesn't mean you don't feel it, but it's how you handle it that matters. I'm just going to finish with this story. Hernando Cortez was a conqueror in the 1500s, and he had an idea to go steal the world's richest treasure from the world's biggest army, which is in Cuba. It's a true story. And he got 11 ships and all the best soldiers he could, and 500 sailors, and sailed across the world to go do this. They were all keen in the beginning, but at the end, as they got closer, the men actually started to doubt. And look at where doubt was on the emotional guidance scale down the bottom. And they said, Hernando, we don't want to do this anymore. We don't think it's a good idea. We think we're going to die. So he sat 3 days offshore, just far enough so he could think about it. And after 3 days, he stood up and ordered every single man into the attack boats. Every one. And he said, push off. And they said, Hernando, we're not keen on this. He said, get into the attack boats and push off. As they pushed off, he stood up and he said, burn the boats! Burn the boats! And he ordered all 11 ships to be burned. And they said, Hernando, what are we going to do? He said, men, now we have no other option but to win. We have no plan B. We must fight with all of our might and we will win and take their boats. They actually won. So I just want you to know, in life, sometimes you're going to have to burn the boats in all different ways. But just don't stop moving forward, because if there's one thing that I know, if you stay consistent and you're disciplined, you will succeed.